And there we go. We are here. This is episode 2 of Between the Notes. My name is Gavin Kerr, and I am here with Lady Redneck, also known as Stephanie. And then what was your last name? I'm so sorry.
Lowry. It's okay. No worries.
Lowry. There we go.
Yeah.
English is weird. It's hard sometimes. I see a name and sometimes I'll mess it up, so I don't want to do that, but I appreciate you telling me it. How are you doing?
I am fabulous. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
I'm doing really well. It's been a nice day. We had people that are watching this or are going to be watching this don't know, but we had a little bit of a hiccup getting into here, which actually worked in my favor because I was starving.
Oh,
So we were trying to figure out the technical difficulties, I was in the kitchen like watching the computer and then also eating as quickly as I could.
that's awesome.
So I'm doing very well. I'm doing very well. You are actually the first country singer, not only that I have first one on this show, but in general, I don't really talk to a whole lot of country artists. I do listen to some of the genre. I listen to a lot of subsections of the genre. So a lot of like folk music is what I usually lean more towards. But I did listen to some of your music, and I have to say, you have a very soothing voice, a very,
Thanks.
very light, very sweet tone to it.
Thanks for saying that, Gavin. I appreciate that.
Absolutely, absolutely. So where did your singing start out at? Like when were you really little singing in choir, or did you take classes for it? How did you sort of get into singing, and how did you find your voice?
So, I grew up in a really musical family, and literally, my dad had a motto that the family that plays together, like plays music, stays together. And
Yeah.
so, when we were even, I come from an all-girl family. I'm the oldest of four girls, and we would we've got pictures of me like holding a guitar where the guitar is literally bigger than I am, and
Yeah.
we started doing talent shows and just doing different things like that. And then it got into gigs where we would do wedding and corporate events. And then it went to the fair circuit, and then it went to CDs, and just kind of, it got to the point where that was literally all we did. I remember even my first year of college, I think I was playing like 5 gigs a week, and just
Oh
trying
my
to,
God, that's amazing.
yeah, it was crazy. But it was so in the Northwest, like Idaho, Utah, Wyoming, Montana, we were really well known up in that area. And that's
Yeah.
how I got started. Um, and that was all cover songs. So it wasn't really my style. And just my style and my voice, I think I've just developed over the last few years, kind of coming into my own, because singing all those cover songs, you try to sound a lot like the other singer to some degree. So,
Yeah, that's why I asked them about finding your own voice. I remember when I started singing, when I was younger, I'd always tried to imitate and sound just like whoever was on the song I was singing. Then after a while, doing choir, I kind of found where my comfortable register was and the tones that I like to implement into singing. Actually, I did look into your family a bit, into you as well. I saw that they sold over 40,000 CDs. That's really impressive. That's
yeah,
awesome.
yeah,
Uh,
that was awesome.
I do have to ask, where do the names come from? Because I found some of the groups that you're in for Dusty Boots. My favorite is Apple Core with a K. That I
uh,
know it's country, but it makes me think of like the band Corn. It makes
well,
me think of like, oh, it's like some country heavy metal.
well, Apple Core was actually, it was an alternative rock band. It was when I
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was the bass player for that one, and it was so fun. We would actually practice in, the guys that were in the band. We played in like their housing, like where the washing machine and the dryers were. We would like go
Yeah.
there and practice, and sometimes we'd stand up on top of them and just and we did
Yeah, just rock out.
we did so many college shows, and just it was crazy fun. It was a really fun band to be in.
I love that. So you were born into this musical lifestyle then of like always like going out and performing and being on stage with people. Was there ever like a learning curve as far as stage fright goes, or were you just like, hey, I'm born, let's be a star?
Um, the interesting thing is it's really funny because my dad, like, even to this day, he like gets nervous, but I never get nervous, especially if I'm on stage and with a band, because it seems like the longer I play, the more wild and crazy and wound up I get because I start having so much fun.
Oh yeah, you get
but
into it. Absolutely.
but if I'm singing in church and I'm doing a solo and everybody's so quiet, like if I'm gonna get nervous, it's more for something like that than for,
Yeah.
crowds and fun, and I don't get
No,
nervous.
I completely can agree. I was the lead singer of a metal band for 3 years,
That's
and I was way more nervous because right now I do DJing. I host karaoke and trivia nights at bars in the area, and
that's
I get more nervous DJing and singing karaoke in front of 10 people who are half plastered anyway than I ever got being on stage for big crowds singing and screaming into a mic. So I definitely understand. There's an intimacy
it,
when it's like only a few people.
it's so funny because I think a lot, unless you're a performer, you don't really understand that. It's like if you just got a couple people here, it's so different than just with the energy and the synergy of just so many people around, and just
Yeah, yeah. It's like the contagion. It's like how laughter is contagious. If you have like a huge group of people and five of them start laughing if you're telling a joke, then everybody else starts laughing. It
true.
spreads really quickly. But if you only have five people and one of them kind of chuckles, you're all like, "Ooh, this feels weird."
That's true. And that would be me, the one laughing, like, and everybody's looking at me.
Yeah, it almost turns into like a pity laugh because
Yeah,
it was just so quiet.
seriously, totally.
So you're originally from Idaho, correct?
I am, yeah.
Yes, yeah, originally from Blackfoot, Idaho, and then you moved to Texas. When did you move?
I've been in Texas 9 years now, and just really love
Wow.
it here. So it's a great
All
place.
right. What made you move there? Was it family? Was it career? Some following a guy maybe?
It was. I I moved here just basically kind of to start over, or whatever. I
Yeah.
was married, and so just like he had just lost everything from the crazy like real estate crash. He'd done really well, and then so it was just kind of starting over, and just thought Texas would be a good place to be, and it has been. So
Good.
I
I
really
hear I hear a lot of good things about Texas, but in all honesty, I've only drove through Texas a couple times, and I'm not
oh
sure how I feel about the state. 'Cause I've only drove through it, going from state to state, so all I really see is the desert. And then I
oh
always meet two different kinds of Texans. I meet the Texans that are way overly proud of Texas, where like that's the only thing they'll talk about, and then I'll meet Texans where they won't talk about it at all. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, I'm from Texas." Anyway,
that's so funny. I think I know most of the proud ones are something about like being from Texas. That's like they've got a lot of pride in the state for sure.
yeah.
But so where are you located at now?
So I was born in Tucson, Arizona, and I currently live in Cleveland, Ohio.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
completely different atmosphere.
Seriously. So you
Yeah.
probably driving through West Texas, the deserty part of it feels like it lasts forever and it's so boring and it's not.
Yes.
But have you been to like San Antonio? Have you been down to like South Texas and like the hill country or
I've literally just gone through like the
the top
tip. Yeah,
part?
the tip part. Yep, going from one state. What I can't remember which states are bordering it, but just cutting across that little rectangle at the top
Okay.
there.
Yeah, that you need to see more of Texas because that part of Texas is does not do the state justice. There's some um, South Texas where there's the hill country and beautiful waterfalls, and it's actually a really pretty place. But that area of Texas is very flat, and there's not a lot to see, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it was mostly desert and then a ginormous armadillo that we hit.
really?
Like,
Oh
oh
wow!
yeah, it shook the entire car, and I looked in the back. I looked in the back, and it just walked away. It didn't care.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. That's really
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. Dude, I was surprised. I was like, "Damn, you survived an entire rental car. Good for you, evolution." So,
uh, that's
I've been looking through some of your lyrics here, and I gotta say, by far, my favorite song, lyrically anyway, has to be "Hunting Boots."
oh, that's awesome.
I I don't know if you made it purposefully for this reason, and if you didn't, please don't take offense. But I think the song is kind of hilarious. The
It,
lyrics in it, they're very satirical.
Okay.
Like,
So, like as a songwriter, I was really like nervous to share my music with the world because I am a little, I like to say quirky, but people just say it's not as much quirky. I like to laugh, and I think that music should be fun, and to me that's a really
yeah.
funny song. So I'm glad you thought of us.
Yeah, I do. Well, I'm reading the lyrics here. I'm like, all right, hunting boots. Like this is just gonna pander to the audience because most of the country that I'm familiar with is mainstream country where they kind of like just ad lib verbs and royal adjectives and stuff like that and just do that. I was like, all right, well, this sound based on the title, that's what it sounds like. I'm reading it here, and baby, if I spent as much money as you on hunting and fishing, I'd have a juicy purse and would never be missing that pair or that right pair of shoes with the outfit for fall. Diamond earrings or a buck on the wall. And then you go into the it's like, all right, so she sounds like she just wants all these nice things. But then you get into the chorus and it's a good thing I'm not that kind of girl. And you keep going, you're like, yeah, we could go to Japan, or you could go get some trout. That'd be cool, I guess. I love it. It's a really funny song, and it's very relatable too. I've watched a lot of your videos, listened to a lot of your music. You're a very relatable person, and it's like
Oh,
you're very very stunning, but you also have this kind of like you said quirkiness to you. Where in the beginning I was watching, I can't remember the name of the video, but I was watching it, and I'm sitting there next to my fiance, and I look at her, I'm like, hey. She totally reminds me of somebody who would like kind of come to karaoke, and she looks, and she goes, "Absolutely, yeah, I love that because you're just doing your little two step, just singing away." I'm like, this is so heartwarming.
that's
Is
awesome.
that do you think that comes from being like growing up in a family of musicians where you kind of have like that wholesomeness to you?
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that that comes from like being in like a music family though, and like playing for the majority like bars and festivals?
I think that and just being like I'm super religious and I just haven't like I actually served like a mission for my church and went and talked to people about Christ for a year and a half, and I think has
Oh
really
wow,
a big part of my life that
yeah.
hopefully like it.
Where did you go for that mission?
The funny thing is, like, you could go anywhere in the world, but I actually got sent to McAllen, Texas, and spoke Spanish. So
That's right. You are. Are you fluent in Spanish, or are you just familiar with the language?
no, I was fluent in it. I haven't spoke it for a few years, so I think if I went down to Mexico for a couple weeks, I'd be fluent again. But I just haven't really practiced on it. But
That's amazing.
yeah,
Do you ever thought about I don't know if you do, have you ever thought about implementing that into your music?
I have thought about that, and in fact, I recorded one in Spanish. But I was just afraid that I'd sound like a gringa trying too hard, so I just
I
so
think you should go for it, honestly. I think maybe not like the entire song if you're not comfortable with that, but
yeah.
I think that you should throw in little phrases here and there. Like
Well,
it's
it's funny you say that because that's how I talk. Like when I'm at home, I always throw in like different Spanish words. Just so that's funny you'd say that. That would make sense actually. So
yeah, I do a similar thing. I'm not fluent in a second language yet. I'm trying to learn French. I've been doing pretty well at it. This
so
past week I haven't done my classes, but usually I'm pretty on top of it. And then I also work with a lot of people who are Croatian, and so they teach me Croatian words. And then I'm also Mexican,
that's,
so I have like a little bit of Spanish
yeah,
vocabulary. And now and again, depending on what kind of mood I'm in, I'll like switch languages for different phrases.
that's so cool. That's
And I've
really
always wanted to, thank you. And I've always wanted to implement that. I always love when people implement different languages into music. Because even, I know you said you were worried about sounding like a ganga, but even if you do that, there's something subconscious in the human brain. When somebody hears that, they think, oh, I can relate to that. Whether they appreciate it or not is
yeah.
a different story, but it catches their attention and they can connect to it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a really good point. And I think that what you're saying is so important too, because I think like with music, if you can relate to it, then you can feel it and you want to be
Yeah.
able feel it, or it's kind of pointless. Like music is about feeling. It's about like expression and being able to just release all the stress and just that connection you're saying. So that's a really good.
Absolutely. And it's another way of making yourself vulnerable. And I did watch that video of you singing vulnerable, which was very beautiful. I'd like to talk about that in a second. But it's another way to sort of make yourself vulnerable and be authentic, because that is a part of you. As you said, you do talk and you do these phrases throughout your regular day-to-day process. So, or not so, but the point I'm getting at is that people can hear that as well, that sort of authenticity. When somebody's trying to like fake something or isn't
Yeah.
100% comfortable with something, there's some weird subconscious thing that we can feel it, we pick it up, and we understand it. And I think that that would be a really great way to also connect with your audience on even that deeper subconscious level.
I totally agree with what you're saying. I think when something about it, like when we hear truth, like it rings in our spirit or something. Something we feel it. We just
Yeah.
feel like, and we like when you walk in a room and if somebody has bad feelings towards you, like a lot of times, like you'll feel it and you don't even know why. So I think you're exactly right. So
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Absolutely. I totally agree with that one. Like energy is very, whether you're an empath or not, or believe in that stuff or not, you can feel when somebody walks into a room, especially if their energy is towards you. You can definitely feel that. Uh,
true.
one of your other songs that I got lyrics pulled up here is where's the title of it? George Strait. Tell me a little bit about this one. Because this is a much more serious tone song.
The George Strait about write this down.
I never saw the end in sight. Fools are kind to build.
So I didn't write that one. That's actually one of George Strait. So it's like a cover song. So
Okay. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I'm not.
right.
This just goes to show how familiar I am with country music.
That's okay. Yeah, that tells me a lot. No, just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm very, like I said, I'm very, very new to it. I listen to a lot of folk, and I listen to a genre called like dark country, which is like, I guess the best way to describe it is like what the Sons of Anarchy would listen to, or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. That's really
Yeah.
cool.
It's fun. But I never really got terribly into the genre itself. I'm not sure why either, because I do have my guilty pleasures, or I call them guilty pleasures, of song like Chicken Fried. I don't know
Um,
that yeah, everybody loves that song because it just reminds me of summertime. It reminds me of like doing the cookouts and stuff like that. It's the memories that are connected to it. What are some of the songs that you have written that have really like deep emotional connections to, or like some really like memories that stand out for you?
right off when you said that, I thought of two, and one of them is actually the first song that I recorded. It's called "Love Me, Baby," and
I
it's
did listen to that one. I saw the video for it as well.
so that one actually won a songwriting contest as well. But the thing that it's not necessarily even the lyrics that connect me to that song. When I wrote that song, I was going through a really, really hard time, and I was not sleeping at all. Like
Yeah.
you're just so stressed and things aren't good. And so every night I would just literally write songs because I'm like, well, if I'm not sleeping, I'm going to write songs. And so I would write like 5 songs a night. And this one night in particular, I was
Wow.
feeling so frustrated, and I sat down and I was sitting in my closet in the middle of the night, and I literally got out the pen, and like all the words came to me. I knew every word of the song. I knew how, like, I literally, as fast as I could write it, like wrote the
Yeah.
song. I knew the chord progressions. I knew how the music was supposed to sound. I knew it from start to finish. And I just remember having this strong feeling inside that that song was going to mean something to me at some time, and that was like kind of a gift. And I mean, and
No,
it
I
was just,
love that when you get into that zone and it's almost not you. It's like you're possessed by the music.
yeah, because literally, like, there wasn't one word I changed. And then when I first decided to try to record my own stuff, it was kind of scary, but I decided to record that one first. And because it did so well and it actually got on some charts and stuff. Um, I think that it gave me the confidence and the courage to go ahead and like record some of my other songs, because I didn't know, like, I didn't have any social media pages. I didn't know if I was going to even like go for my own music or what I was going to do. But because I got such positive feedback on that song, that it just like, okay, let's do it, So
No,
So,
absolutely. That's amazing. I did notice on your website it said that you haven't done any live performances yet of yourself because you're still finding your voice. Has that changed and you haven't updated the website, or has COVID kind of like kicked that back as well?
no, I don't even know where that says that. I don't know. I don't know. I don't even know. I don't remember even saying that.
Oh,
Um, yeah, I have different people that like help me with my website, but usually I write everything on there. But I am getting ready. I was getting ready to tour last year, and then when COVID hit, I couldn't. And then I'm getting
yeah.
ready to. I'm hoping to tour this fall, but like COVID, you know.
I mean, they're planning shows. I know, like Rock on the Range and a couple, like a bunch of big name artists. They're selling tickets for shows. Things are being planned, so
Well,
it's looking
yeah,
hopeful.
yeah. That's I've seen both. I've seen some people that are canceling and some people that are selling, and so I do have a big show in June. That I've got like opening acts for, and then it's like a 5 hour show, just a big concert. So, but besides that,
Yeah,
I haven't set up a lot of that besides that. So,
definitely. Is this your full-time gig then? You're just doing music?
yeah, it is. Yeah, I just do it full time. So,
Okay, so how's COVID affected that then? Have you had to get like a day-to-day job, or have you been really relying on like the internet to produce and put your music out? Like what have you been doing to keep funds coming in?
so, okay, so I have a little girl, and I decided I didn't want to tour while she was
Oh,
little, and so I when I started, I actually just started 5.5 years ago with my own music, and when I started online and started with my social media, and then some of my songs got charted, some of my songs have been played on the radio, and I mean since then I've had a lot of success, but I developed this whole like online system where I crowdfund once a month, and then I do a release. And so once a month, I'm putting new songs on Spotify, and then every 8 songs, I do a new CD. And so I constantly have live whenever I have a new song, I do new T-shirts, new everything. And
yeah,
so between like with all the stuff that I'm doing, it COVID really hasn't affected me that much because I wasn't going to tour actually until last fall, getting
yeah.
ready to back out there and get started again. And so up until now, it's just been everything that I've done online is how I've um, been supporting myself. So it
That's
didn't,
amazing.
yeah.
Are you
So
doing drop shipping for the merchandise then?
I do with my CDs. I personally, I haven't been. I'm to the point I need to though because it just takes so much time. But I just like to just autograph each one of them, to sign each one.
Yeah.
But with all of
And
the
that's such a cool, simple thing for the fans as well to get that.
it is, and it's not like because since I crowdfund and they're the ones that pay for all my music to be like produced and the CDs to be produced and everything. Like I put their names on the back, like special thanks to like anybody that helps out. Like I want them to be a part of it. Like they're my
Yeah.
record label per se because I mean I've had a couple labels contact me, but I like having the flexibility to write my silly songs and write my own, you know,
Yeah, definitely.
person. And it's like if my fans like are so awesome because they just support me. And so it's like they're kind of like, and in fact, the big show that I'm doing in Sandy in June, like it was literally a fan that set it up and ran with it. And he's got, like the t-shirts made, the venue booked, everything. Like they're just awesome. They just really
Oh
support.
my God.
So
That is absolutely amazing. Would you sign on to a label if you found the right one, or if the right one came to you?
I think so. I think so, but I don't know for like I want rights to like I feel like because I'm making money and I'm making a living at it and it's awesome. Like I like where I'm at already. I don't I would if as long as it was a mutual benefit. Like I would because I would love to sing on the Grand Ole Opry and I'd love to sell out stadiums and so it'd be a
Yeah.
larger but I would just want to make sure I have the flexibility to I wouldn't want to sing songs that I wouldn't want to sing um I mean I'm sure I could write better songs with help. You know what I mean? Like I've always got stuff to learn. I'm totally humble enough to say, yeah, like I can make improvements and whatever. So I'd be
Yeah.
open to that, but I wouldn't want them saying you have to do it this way, you have to do it that way, because I I want to always be.
Absolutely. There is a difference between making a career from it and then also the quote unquote selling out and but losing your freedom of what you can do on stage.
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Exactly. So,
Yeah, no, I totally understand. I think a great example of that actually would be with Taylor Swift when she started out. You know, this little country girl doing her songs, one on her acoustic guitar, and then something happened over time where now she's kind of putting out the same thing over and over again with
yeah.
that big label under her, which is
Yeah.
like it's cool. You know, she makes a bunch of money, she can do whatever she wants or like whatever she wants with that money, but her music now, her art is limited.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. I'm curious because I'm actually about to, like I said beforehand, I was in a band that was doing actually very well for 3 years, and then recently had departed from them. So I'm about to start a solo career. I have a very awesome
That's
producer. I'm very grateful for the people who are helping me out with my projects and everything. How long did it take you to become independent? How you are now, where you're paying for you're living off your music. How long did that take?
um probably 2.5 years. There was a learning curve. I didn't have any social media. I didn't have like, I mean, I started without anything, and I had taken a course. I paid for a course, and it was even a cheap course, but it was
Yeah.
enough to get me started. And then I just ran with it, and I spent so much time. Like it has not been like I work hard at what I do. Like I worked really hard to get where I am. You know what I mean? So
Oh, it's not easy in the slightest bit. Absolutely.
so but yeah, probably it was probably after about 2.5 years that I just it was starting to really kick in. And so if you already have like all that set up, which you probably do, you might like just doing your own thing. You're probably already so close to doing that, unless you already are. So
Yeah, I do. I have a decent fan base, and then I have a producer who is a friend of mine, so I
that's
get to work with him for a discount, which is really nice because the most expensive part is the recording a lot of the time. So for
yeah,
me, it's gonna be mostly marketing and getting my name out there will
yeah,
be the biggest hurdle that I'll have to overcome. Because that's the beauty and the hinder of the internet is that anybody can put yourself out there. You can reach anywhere. And
that's
at the same time, anybody can put themselves out there and you can reach anywhere.
no, Gavin. Oh my gosh, this is so funny. I actually wrote courses. I haven't. I'm just starting to market them to musicians, and that's some of my words. Exactly. I talk about how like it's leveled the playing field. Before you had to have a record label, you had to do all this stuff, but now that there's the internet, now anybody can do it. But now, because anybody can do it, now it's like you're in a red ocean where
Yeah,
there's so many people, and you have to differentiate or die. Like you have to find your own little micro niche to get into this blue ocean again, where you've just got your own thing going on. So
absolutely. And it completely makes sense why a lot of record companies do what they do, where they kind of pump out the same thing once they get a hold of somebody. Because
yeah.
it would be kind of scary to try to let them experiment and really be themselves. Because even though that's what made them noticeable in the beginning,
Uh-huh.
the record companies are worried that if they continue doing that, they'll do something eventually that people won't like and they'll lose that client. They'll
uh,
lose that popularity. So I
that's
get why they do the system that they do, just because it is such an intense and a completely different game. It's changed so much in the past 10, 20 years, even from
yeah,
what it used to be. Like you have, in all honesty, you don't really have any reason to sign with a label unless it's that you just want to do huge stadiums.
yeah, that's how I feel. And I actually really like where I am, and I love having the connection with the fans, because it's fun having them be part of my music, and they like get excited, and they, you know what I mean? Like when I'm at the studio today, but usually I'll get on and do live shows with them and like have them be a part of it. And it's cool because, there's other people that are musicians that are fans, or people that aren't. They still like to see what I'm doing and how it works, and like the creative
Yeah.
process of it. And you know what I mean? It's just fun.
No,
So
absolutely. Now, how much time, because since you don't have a label or anything, and you are doing this all by yourself, which, by the way, you are my goal. My goal is to be able to just put a roof over my head and food on in my belly and support my family using my music. That is my goal. I don't need to do the huge stadiums. It would be nice, it'd be cool, but at the same time, that's what my goal is. I think that's a pretty reachable goal, and I definitely believe I'm going to get there one day. That being said, as we mentioned earlier, it is a lot of work. It's not just playing shows, having parties, and hanging out like everybody thinks it is. It's a lot of marketing, it's a lot of business, it's a lot of writing and rewriting and being in the studio a bunch, shaking hands with people, making friends. It's a lot of work. So, how do you find time for yourself and your family? What do you do to sort of decompress and relax and just be in the moment?
So, you are bringing up great points, by the way. And
Thank you.
that's the thing, like, especially with the music industry, there are so many directions you can go, and there are so many things that you can do. And what I've had to learn are to really prioritize. Like, I love business. I've owned a couple of businesses in the past, and like one thing Stephen Covey talks about is like begin with the end in mind. And so I really put together my A list, my B list, my C list, and the time slots that I have each day to work on different things. I prioritize, I use that time wisely. And then when my little girl gets out of school, because she's a first grader now, then that's family time from then on. So my work day starts, I actually get up at like 5:30 every day, and I work till I get her ready for school. And then I work till she gets home from school. And then I'm done for the rest of the day. So I think
Oh, that's
because
awesome.
it is. That way I can be a full-time mom. I can still like give her all the attention and all the time she needs. And then I can also like do what I love and be able to provide, and so it's great.
That's amazing that you have that time management skills. I try to plan like I have my week planned out, and then I have each day categorized on what I'm doing because I don't think people realize even if you work 40 hours a week and you sleep 8 hours every night, you still have an insane amount of time left on your plate. And it's so easy to waste it. Like I can't say how many times I've had a day off and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do this, that, and the other, and then I go on my phone and
Oh
I go
yeah.
on my phone for 5 minutes,
Yeah.
which turns into 50 minutes, which turns into 5 hours. And I'm like, oh no, it's 2 in the morning and I have work tomorrow. What have I done?
Totally. And I think too, like sometimes in your head you can justify and say, oh, this is really important. But in reality, like if you really examine your goals, like there a lot of times there's something that would actually been more important. So you don't even feel like you're wasting your time. But in reality, like it's time management is something that I think is one of the most important things to really to really plan.
Yeah.
Because like what you're saying, it just goes like that. And then I mean, I do that. I'll jump on my phone and be like, okay, I've got 5 minutes. And it's like 10 minutes later, you're just, anyway, still there.
Yep.
So.
And then my OCD kicks in, Bugs. I'll say, "Ooh, I got 5 minutes, okay." And then 7 minutes later, I'm like, "Ah, well, I might as well just do 3 more minutes." And then that turns into 11 minutes. I'm like, "Ah, well, I guess 15 minutes it is." Like, comes this vicious cycle. I want to talk about how old is your daughter?
She's 7.
Oh, that's so sweet. Is she musically inclined as well?
Is she what?
Musically inclined.
She is. I started teaching her piano when she was 6, and she is amazing on the piano already. And she did her first
That's really great.
solo the other day. I teach a singing group. I put together a little singing group of kids all her age, just because I wanted her to have that experience. And so, and they do monthly performances. And so I just started it last month. And so she just had her first like singing debut.
That's so amazing they started her out so young. I have always had a very big passion for music. I self-taught my or guitar. I play mostly acoustic now, but I started out on electric. But I didn't start until I was, I want to say, 15.
Oh,
And I see where I'm at now, and I'm definitely not the best, but I'd like to think that I'm better than the average person who just like picks up a guitar and says, "Oh, I want to play," and then they pick it up for a month and then they put it back down. But my mother's cousin, Spencer Meyer, he is in the same boat that your daughter was in. Everybody in the Kerr family, all the boys, all the girls, they all had to play baseball or softball. It was something that the family just did.
yeah.
And his mother signed him up for t-ball when he was about 6 years old or so. He didn't want to do it. She said, "Go up and hit the ball and just try one game." So he
Uh-huh.
got up, he hit the ball off the tee, got on first base. He looked at her, he said, "There, are you happy?" And after the game, he went up to her and he said, "Mom, can I play piano?" And
Really?
she said yes.
Oh,
And at 6 years old, or 6, 7 years old, She took him out of t-ball and then signed him for piano classes. And now he's a professor at college and he travels the world playing classical piano with his boyfriend. It's
That's so cool.
absolutely amazing.
That's
So
really
like when I hear people say, "Oh, my child is 5 years old, my child's 7 years old, and I'm getting him into this instrument," I just think to myself, they if they stick with that and they truly enjoy it, then they are going to be amazing.
Yeah, that's true. Such an advantage to start young for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So it seems like your entire family then. Does it come from both sides, the music?
My mom plays the piano, but my dad's the big musician. He was a music major and he always played in bands in high school. And like my parents were always in a band. So when I was really little, like every Friday and Saturday, they were just gone, like doing shows and stuff. So
Yeah,
um, more so for my dad, but definitely both sides.
absolutely. Was that difficult being a young child having your parents gone all the time?
Um, well, we had a really fun babysitter, so it wasn't too, it wasn't too bad.
Okay, all right. You had a decent substitute.
Yeah. And
She came through with like the pizza rolls and the cotton candy and ice cream and stuff.
and my parents are really good parents and they spent a lot of time with us. And so like them
Yeah.
on shows or having band practice, it wasn't a big deal for me. So
Well, that's really good. That's awesome that they were able to keep a healthy balance with the family then.
yeah.
Tell me what a little bit more about your childhood. What was it like growing up? Not only with the musical family, but in general, hanging out with other kids. Were you popular growing up? It seems like you had a lot of self-confidence from being able to go up on stage and everything. But what was school like having this performing family?
Um, so up until I was in fifth grade, I lived in like a crazy small town. It was literally population 23. So
Oh
I
my God.
or
And
six,
then half that population was your family.
yeah, yeah. Like like there were people from all over the valley that would end up coming to school. And so we actually end up having 60 kids in our school. But I had like
I had more kids in my graduating class.
isn't that funny?
What? Like, I think I had like 400 or 500 kids in my graduating class.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's insane. 60 kids in your whole school. Wow.
It was hilarious. And so literally like when I was like kindergarten was on the stage, like there was this little like it was like a 3-room school basically. And so
Yeah,
I guess I was confident then. I always loved school. I always loved sports and just I mean I think I was a good student and did good. And then when I was in fifth grade, we moved to like the big city of Idaho Falls, which was like population 75,000. And then I went to
oh, okay. I thought you were going to say population 75. I was like, yeah, I guess compared to 24, that's definitely bigger.
so and in Idaho Falls, like the elementary school I went to, there was like 3 classes of fifth grade that all had like 25 students in it or something. So it felt like I mean my old fifth grade was like bigger than the whole school I had come from. Um, so but I grew up like riding horses and doing some rodeo and then playing softball and music and just kind of hanging out with a lot of cousins for the most part, and my grandma. So
Definitely, definitely. That's awesome. So you had a very rich childhood as far as experience goes. And
yeah,
then that's great that you weren't afraid of things. A
yeah,
lot of children now in even like young adults in my generation and younger are afraid of a lot of things in life. Has there ever been like an opportunity that came your way that you were afraid of doing it and decided not to? Like maybe somebody came and was like, "Hey, you want to go skydiving?" And you're like, I'm not feeling that. That's too risky for me. Or maybe like some kind of like a deal for your music or like a job opportunity where you were nervous about it.
no, I don't
Yeah.
think I've ever. I was gonna go skydiving one time, and yeah, I don't think I've ever turned anything down. I was gonna go skydiving. I got it as a birthday present from a friend, and then that day, like earlier that day, I'd ran 10 miles, which because I love to run, and
What?
when I got to the place, I was feeling a little bit sick, and at the end, the instructor didn't let me jump, and I was so disappointed because I had
Oh,
spent the whole day like doing the class and whatever. So, but I don't think I've ever, knock on wood, like I've never been like afraid or turn anything down at this point. I don't think so.
I love that. That's amazing. If you had another opportunity, then would you skydive? I'm assuming yes.
Yeah, yeah, I would for
All
sure.
right, we're gonna do it. We got to go skydiving. I was talking because I've been trying to find like stuff for my fiance and I to do, and I
Yeah.
found this one like crazy haunted house thing to do, and then that just took me down a rabbit hole of cool activities. And I asked her for skydiving, and she said, "Yeah, I'll drive with you there, and then I'll wait on the ground." That's no fun. I want to free fall with you. So I need a skydiving buddy. I've never been. I've done cliff jumping. That's a lot of fun. Oh, in Arizona, I used to go to Sedona and
That's
do cliff jumping in the Rocky Mountains. I think the highest jump I ever did was like 60, 70 feet around there, which
wow.
was pretty scary because it was a lot of fun, but
Yeah.
I couldn't jump unless I started screaming first. Like I'd stand back at the rock and just be like, ah! And then just like gladiators sprint towards the edge. I remember getting halfway down
Uh-huh.
and then realize, oh, I'm still falling. Ah! Just like,
Awesome.
what is some of the most or what is or are some of the most like crazy or surreal experiences that you've had? I'm sure traveling, you've met some interesting people, you've seen some weird stuff. I know that Texas is supposedly known about being weird. So what are some things that if you tell people they kind of look at you funny?
Let me think. If they let's see. This doesn't have to do with Texas, but one thing that I remember a lot of people thought was crazy. I don't know. I don't know. Up by the Tetons, up by Jackson Hole, where I grew up, there's this huge mountain that's almost as high, and you go on this big hike, and at the very top, you're up almost parallel with the Tetons. And when I got up to the top, like there was all these rocks up there, and I did handstands. I was doing handstands up there just because I felt like I was on the top of the world, and I wanted to like feel alive and have like an adrenaline rush. And I remember people thought I was really crazy for that, and I got some
Oh
weird.
my God.
But I'm
No,
trying to.
that's amazing. No, I love that. I've always really enjoyed watching videos of people doing insane stunts on like really, really high places where there's not a lot of ground. Because when
Yeah.
you think about it, like you can jump if you stand up in your room, you can stand on one spot, you can put like a piece of paper down on the spot, and you can jump and land on that piece of paper just fine with perfect balance. But then if you try to do that same thing again, but you take away all the floor around that piece of paper, even though you just did it, there's something psychological. There's
Uh-huh.
like a weird fear that messes up your balance, and on the inside, and you're like, "Oh snap, I'm gonna fall." So that's great that you have that ability to just block that out.
Well, luckily I did that day. I don't, but I don't
Yeah,
know.
at least in that
Oh,
situation, you got to be on top of the world.
I thought of something crazy. Okay, so
Yes,
when I lived in the Philippines, they actually eat something called balut. Have you ever heard of that?
I want to say it sounds familiar, but I have no idea what it is.
So, and for them, it's like a delicacy. Like they basically take duck eggs and they'll bury them in the sand, and so while the duck is like growing, like in the sand, basically it cooks it. But so there's baby ducks, and they eat that.
What?
Yeah, and like
I have seen that. I've seen people eat like half fertilized eggs before.
yeah, okay, so that's what they do there, and like there's always like somebody driving their little bicycle, and they'll be like balut balut, and so then you get this balut. And before I moved home from the Philippines, I thought I've got to try that because I want to experience everything. Like I want to taste all the crazy stuff and or whatever. And
Yes.
I tried it. Oh, and like
How was it?
oh, people they love it there, but just like it wasn't the taste to me, it was the texture.
I
Like,
feel like it's more of a texture thing.
oh, I couldn't like I did it, but I don't want it again.
Do do you like pick the bones out, or do you just like chew that whole thing like cartilage? Like you just go through it.
Yeah, I mean I'm
Ah,
cheap, but it's just like, oh my gosh, it's like yeah, and they love it.
oh,
So
it's so gross. I want to try it. I can't wait. Well, I took a that's amazing. You went to the Philippines. I'll have you tell me about that in a minute here. I took a trip to Belize a few years ago, and one of the delicacies that partook in were termites. They have termite mounds everywhere.
Oh,
And what I did is I put my finger just on the mound and they like cover my finger and
no
then
way.
I just straight off, oh, straight
No,
like that. Yep, don't cook them or anything. They take first off, they're the highest source of protein in the world, and
really?
second off, yep, like per ounce, like if I had like beef, chicken, fish, termites per ounce, they're a higher source of protein than any of them. And then on top of that, they taste exactly like carrots.
Really?
They taste just like yeah, like if you took carrots and termites and put them in a blender and mash them into purees and had me eat a spoonful of both of them, I would not be able to tell you the difference if I was blindfolded.
Oh, well, that's good to know in case I ever eat a termite.
Yeah. If you're ever like stranded
Yeah,
on an island and all there are termite mounds, you're set. You're good. You just need to find water then.
I did not know people ate termites. That's really funny.
Yeah, oh, they eat a lot of bugs. Actually, I get a protein powder from Canada off of Amazon that is it's cricket flour. It's
Really?
it's it's flour made out of crickets. Yep, I put it in my fruit smoothies. It makes a tiny bit of like a gritty texture, but nothing to really notice. There's no taste to it. You can use it for anything. It's flour. You can bake
So
with it. You
why,
cook with it.
why do you prefer that? Why do you prefer to get cricket
I
flour?
like it because one, it's a lot cheaper than like a lot of the big like containers or the small containers of protein powder that you get at the store. It's a lot cheaper than that. Two, it's all natural, which I really enjoy. And then it's also a really high source of protein. Like insects in general are extremely high source of protein. And
Yeah.
it's also extremely green. The amounts of land, the amount of water, and the amount of resources like gas for travel, stuff like that, that it takes to transport the amount of crickets for the amount of protein versus like cattle or something like that
Uh-huh.
is way lower. So
Oh,
it's a lot more beneficial to me. It's a lot more beneficial to my wallet, and it's a lot more beneficial to the earth. So that's
that,
why I like to go that way, and I don't notice it, and I'm not grossed out by eating bugs. It's like,
that's cool.
you know,
That's
yeah,
cool.
it's a lot of fun. But so tell me about the Philippines. Why were you there and what were you doing?
Um, just there for business, and but I loved every minute of it. It was like the people are so nice there. They're so giving. They don't have hardly anything, but they will literally give you everything they have, and they're just like
Yeah,
literally some of the kindest, sweetest people you'll ever meet. So
yeah. That was one thing I really noticed about going to Belize is that one, our currency is worth double over there. And then on top of that, they're really big on the trading because it's a third world country for the most part, except for like the touristy areas. But over that, it's third world country. And I'd feel bad sometimes because I would make like I was starting to like do the trading because I was running out of money eventually. I was there for 2 weeks and I was running out of money, so I started doing trading, and I felt bad because I was doing some of these trades and they were offering me a lot less than what I thought their product was worth.
oh
Like they would
yeah,
offer me a sculpture or something like that, and they'd say like, "Oh, give me this," and I'm like, "That's worth way more than this. What are you doing right now?" Like, no, at least let me give you like this, and they're like, "Okay, that's fine too." But they're very humbled people a lot of the time in countries where they have a lot less. They
yeah.
don't have that materialism like we
That's
do here in America.
and they were so happy there. They were just like, I mean, they didn't have anything, and they would walk around singing and just happy and sweet, and it was awesome. So
Absolutely. Would you go back then? I'm assuming.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I love I love our country so much, but I love to visit, and I have a lot of great friends over there I'd love to see. So
How many countries have you been to?
I'm not sure. Probably just like 6 or 7. I haven't been to that many. So bless you.
Pardon me. Thank you. It's like I felt it coming. All right, if you could go to any country for 2 weeks, completely paid, you don't have to worry about like vacation days or anything like that. You get paid to be there. What country would you go to?
I would go to, I'd wanted to go to, gosh, there's so many places. I want to go to Australia right now.
Yes, that is two for two. I would really want to go to Australia. My previous guest, Lena Scissorhands, she was on. I asked her, and she also said Australia.
That's
There's
awesome.
something about it. It's just magical. Just the land down under.
The beaches, the kangaroo, like everything. It's awesome. So
Be careful with the kangaroos. They're mean.
what?
Oh no, they're so mean. Kangaroos, they're aggressive. You know how they drown things
Oh,
for
I didn't know,
fun?
but I've heard some crazy stories. So
Yeah. Since they're so tall, they'll
uh,
stand in huge pools of water
oh my,
and they'll lure in predators and then they'll use their body weight and hold them under.
oh that's scary. That
It's
does,
terrifying. And they're shredded
oh
too. They're
man.
just huge, just muscle.
Man.
You have like, because there's like the cute little like kangaroos and whatnot that grow to be like 3 to 5 feet tall. But they
Yeah.
have some crazy, like a big red kangaroo. I think it's like 8 feet tall.
Oh man, that's crazy. That's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
crazy. Scary.
That's a big animal.
Huge. Oh my gosh, that's
And
crazy.
I had an art teacher back in I want to say the 5th or 6th grade. Her cousin lived in Australia. He accidentally hit a kangaroo while driving because it's like deer out there. You know, they just run in the middle of the street and they get hit sometimes. Well, he
Uh-huh.
went out to make sure that it was actually killed and that it wasn't just injured, and it was, but he found a baby joey in its pouch. And
Oh,
so he took it home. He set up a huge enclosure in his backyard, fenced it off and whatnot for it to roam around in, and he nursed it, made sure it was okay. And one day he went back there, and this thing kicked his ass.
really? Oh my,
Yeah, oh, it got back on its tail, and it just boom, just
oh my
kicked
god,
him with both its huge feet. And so he started putting on hockey gear and football gear,
oh my
and
god,
he'd go out and he'd box this kangaroo.
that's so funny. That's really funny.
It's insane. Yeah, they're wild animals out there. That's why I want to go there because it's hot as hell. I love the heat.
Me too.
I'm not a fan of the cold, but I still live in Ohio. While I do love the state, I do love Cleveland. I cannot stand the weather. It's freezing today. But it's hot as hell there, and then everything wants to kill you, and that kind of intrigues me. So
Okay, I
we're
feel bad. I've got to go. I'm at the recording studio today, and I'm trying to get a song done. So
I was actually just about to say we're coming up to the top of the hour here. Is there anything that you would like to plug in really quick before you
just
leave? Anything new coming up? Any of your websites, YouTube, etc.?
sure. Like, and well, and first of all, thank you so much. This interview has been so fun. I really enjoyed talking to you.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I'd love to have you again in the future.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that. And yeah, I've got a song that's going to be coming out. Actually, I'm just getting ready to announce it. I'll announce it here. But I've got a song coming out called
I feel so special. This is the second time it's happened too. It's becoming a trend.
yeah, it's going to be announced next week, but it's called I Dented Your Truck. And it's one that I wrote. And then I've got the big show in June, and just those are probably the two things that I'd want to talk about most. And then just if people listening want to sign up to my email list, it's just ladyredneck.org. So I'd love to have them. And
Awesome.
yeah, so thank you so much.
Absolutely. And
Appreciate
thank you for being here. This
My
was Between the Notes, episode 2. I'm here with Lady Redneck. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll see you all next time.